What's going on, YouTube, man? We back at it again with another video, man. Today we got Carmelo Anthony, and no, I'm not talking about the basketball player, bro. It's a kid that stabbed another kid at a track meet. Apparently, there was some racial issues going on. You know, I really don't know all the details. I've been seeing little tidbits on the internet, but we finna find out today what's going on, man.
Is this self-defense or is this murder? Carmelo's being charged with first-degree murder, but I don't think they're gonna get it, you guys. It's not a good charge. What's the more appropriate charge? Manslaughter. I'm gonna show you how to properly examine a police report. You are not allowed to put your hands on anybody. See, Carmelo could have easily just walked away. The person was grabbed, he was touched, then he was stabbed. It doesn't matter what your color of your skin is, you could still be a racist. Oh wow, I didn't know he did that. This is why we have to wait for the facts of the case. It's innocent until proven guilty. You have people who are comparing photos.
Man, what they got going on, man? This was definitely some racial stuff, man. You got country bumpkin versus the dude in the hood, man.
Those things,
they both pulled up, though,
are irrelevant and have nothing to do with the facts of the case. You have to block out the white noise, okay? This entire case is gonna hinge on the conversation that was had. Austin stood up and at some point closed the distance between him and Carmelo. You guys, that's the primary aggressor, whether you like it or not. Fans, it's not about what you think. It's about what the person who's using self-defense thinks. Carmelo had a knife, it's against the law. He's on school property, it's against the law, 2 violations. And if you create a scenario that makes me believe that it's 2 against 1, you've changed the dynamics of this situation, you guys. That matters. This is the mindset of Carmelo. The question is it legal? This is not provoking. This is not enticing. This is a warning. In this case here, you have Carmelo who used excessive force against Austin. You can't stab a person in the chest, you guys, unless...
It's looking bad, man. It's not looking good for bro, man. I ain't gonna lie. What's our next move, though?
Father, I just want to say, please guide us and lead us in this discussion. Give us wisdom.
My next move, I'm getting transported to Mexico, man.
Wisdom, give us grace. Help us to come to the table to have better understanding. Our country is dealing with a sensitive issue regarding skin color, race. There is so much hatred. Lord, I just ask that you remove this veil of anger, this veil of hatred, ignorance, bigotry, stupidity, off of the hearts and the minds and the spirits of people under the sound of my voice. Lord,
amen.
Please guide us into coming together, having a healthy conversation and removing bad actors, whether they're on either political aisle. Despite what their skin color is, racism is racism. It's not exclusive to skin color. Lord, I just ask that in this time, we're able to have a healthy and mature conversation about race relations and be able to get to the bottom of this situation while removing all the anger, bigotry, and hatred. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, welcome back. This is The Real Nathan Daly, and this is another episode of The Crime Classroom. Listen, you guys, this topic has stirred up a lot of commotion. We are seeing the anger and the hatred and vitriol coming out of the depths of people's soul, the depths of their stomach, and it's on display for the world to see. What is going on in our country? It doesn't take much. You guys, listen, this case isn't about racism. It's not about skin color. It's not about being black or white. It doesn't matter what your color of your skin is, you could still be a racist. If you're not coming here with good intentions, don't speak on it. We're gonna break this case down, and here are the chapters. 1, we're gonna focus on the facts. 2, the police report. We're gonna talk about Carmelo's statement. We're gonna talk about the statement of the witnesses, the criminal charges, the use of force, and then after that, we're gonna close this thing out. And I'm gonna give you my summary about this case. Listen, you're talking to an expert witness of use of force, police policy, and procedure. You guys, this is right up my alley. I'm gonna break this thing down to you.
It's crazy, though.
Here is how it all goes down. Let's talk about the facts of the case. Listen, don't get caught up in all the foolishness being put out on social media. You have people who are comparing photos. They're comparing guns. They're comparing GPAs.
Yeah, they both got them chopsticks, man.
Some are comparing GoFundMe accounts. Those things are irrelevant and have nothing to do with the facts of the case. You have to block out the white noise, all of it, shut it down, and focus on the facts. Let's talk about what the facts are. This is between two high school students, two 17-year-old boys who unfortunately got into an altercation that led to the death of one of them. Who are we talking about? We're talking about KARMELO Anthony, and we're talking about Austin Metcalf. How did this whole thing start? It began with KARMELO inside the tent. For whatever reason, he decided to go there, whether it was the rain or he wanted to just sit there. It's not against the law for him to be there. So let's clear that up completely. The second thing is, Austin told KARMELO that he needs to leave from the team's tent because he doesn't belong there. For whatever reason, KARMELO decided he's not going to leave. You guys, that's his right to do so. What happened? After that confrontation, that verbal dispute, some form of threat was made stating that Austin was going to physically remove KARMELO because he would not leave on his own.
And that's crazy that all this happened because, like, imagine if it didn't rain, bro, or some shit like that. Like, dude wouldn't be going through none of this shit. That's what's crazy. Like, the weather, like, man, every action has a reaction, man. So, like, it's just crazy that it could have been a sunny ass day and this man would have still been living his regular life, man.
What happened? KARMELO made a statement saying, if you touch me, see what happens. And then from there, he reached into his bag and that was it. Apparently, Austin then proceeded to touch him. Some say he was pushed. Some say he was punched. Some say he was grabbed. At that point in time, KARMELO took out a knife and stabbed him in the chest one time.
Damn.
It hit his heart. He ended up dying from that wound.
Shit.
KARMELO fled the scene and he was later stopped and detained by officers. Now, what did he say when he was stopped? He told the officers that I did it. It's not allegedly. I did do it. I told him not to touch me, and this was self-defense. And he asked, is this self-defense? Could this be self-defense? So forth and so on. He made some direct statements to the officers, and he was detained and he was
shouldn't have said
away.
nothing.
Okay, KARMELO is being charged with first-degree murder. Okay, that's the only charge as of now. It could change, it can increase, and additional charges can be added. Okay, that is the facts of the case. Now, as we dive into it, what's the next part? Let's go into the details of the case, followed up with what? The police report.
Listen to this.
This police report, a lot of people are gravitating to, and they're making videos and statements as if this is the Holy Grail. This police report is only about what transpired in that moment. These are brief preliminary investigations. It's not detailed enough. There's a lot of facts that are missing. Over 30 witnesses' statements are not inside this report. There's statements from KARMELO that are not inside this report that only his attorney has access to. There's video evidence that's been collected that we don't have access to. There's so much more context to this particular incident that we don't have access to, and the police report does not cover, and it can't cover. Why? This is a preliminary account of what took place. And listen, the officers in the department, apparently they did a great job managing the crime scene, getting the evidence and interviewing people and finding out who was involved and also the witnesses that actually documented the incident.
It's crazy.
Cell phone footage, okay? So this police report doesn't have everything that a lot of people think it should have. Why do I say that? You don't really understand exactly what you're looking at. There's about 60% of evidence that's missing in order to really formulate an actual picture of what took place. People are asking the million-dollar question, is this
I was gonna try to check on TikTok, man. I don't know where my phone at.
self-defense or is this murder? Listen, we're going to talk about it I'm going to show you how to properly examine a police report and looking at the statements made by the witness that's documented by the officer. I'm going to point out to you the issues with the witness's statement and the issue with the officer not asking specific questions based on a bias of assuming guilt before properly investigating. Let's dive in to the first statement. This is witness number 1, witness J. What does he say? Jay states that Austin told KARMELO to move from their tent. What does he say? He says, then KARMELO grabbed his bag and opened and reached inside. He told Austin, touch me and see what happens. Austin proceeded to touch KARMELO. Listen, this is the first assault. Whether you like it or not, you are not allowed to put your hands on anybody. That's just a fact, whether you like it or not. That's the reality of it. That's a violation of someone's personal space. What is the witness Jay saying? He's saying that after he put his hand in the bag, he said, don't touch me. What happened? Austin reached and touched him. We don't know in what manner and we don't know how. That's very important. What does he also say? He states that KARMELO stated, punch me and see what happens. That's important. A short time later, this is important. He's saying he's given us a time frame, meaning that this event lasted longer than we all assumed it did. A lot of people believe that the person was grabbed, he was touched, and he was stabbed. No, what this indicates to me is that this has been taking place for a significant amount of time, right? This took place long enough for people to what? Video record. This took place long enough for there to have multiple witnesses. We're talking over 30 witnesses saw this argument. The witness is explaining to us in a very coded language that this was a heated debate between two people. He says a short time later, Austin grabbed KARMELO and told him to move. After he was grabbed, KARMELO pulled out the knife and he stabbed him. Okay, here's the problem with this image. We don't know in what manner he was grabbed. We don't know how or the positioning, okay? We don't know whether he was falling back when he stabbed or he was moving forward when he stabbed. We don't know if it was an overhand stab or underhand stab. We don't know. These are details that are
I'm gonna guess overhand shit.
Okay, so what we see from this point is the officer is only documenting some brief statements that were made. There are no detailed information. It's just very brief. Okay, so people are building their statements off of that one witness testimony that is lacking so much pertinent detail. Okay, now let's go into witness number 2. Witness number 2, we're going to call them EP. This witness was actually with Austin's brother, Hunter Metcalf. Okay, they were together when the officer made contact with them. This is before the officer knew that Hunter was the brother of the victim. Okay, what does he put? He says this individual said what? He says they were sitting on the bleachers and KARMELO walked over and sat in the tent. Austin then told KARMELO since he did not go to memorial, he had to leave the tent. That's key. Okay, why is that key? Both witnesses are talking about the primary aggressor. The primary aggressor is Austin. Okay, we're talking about the person who initiated the confrontation is Austin. All right, let's be very clear on that. It doesn't matter whether or not he was allowed to sit there or not, whether or not he was talking trash to the opposing team. That's irrelevant, and that's not against the law. This is a track meet against opposing schools. Again, that's not a crime. Austin is the primary aggressor. The witnesses all acknowledge that. Okay, this entire case is going to hinge on the conversation that was had, this verbal altercation that was had between KARMELO and Austin. You may not understand, but I'm going to tell you why. The entire self-defense claim is going to hinge on that conversation. So the witness EP is saying that during this verbal dispute between the two, Austin's...
Nothing, doing this reaction video real quick.
Oh, shit. I'll hit you back later, man. I'll just check in with you.
I'm going to call you back in like 15 minutes.
All right, bet.
All right, bye.
All right. Lisa.
Stood up and at some point closed the distance between him and KARMELO. That's the primary aggressor, whether you like it or not. He then goes and he assaults him. We don't know in what manner he grabbed, but he says that he was pushed. So here's the problem. You have conflicting statements. You have one witness who says he was touched twice. He was assaulted twice. One witness says he was pushed. Okay? And then what else does he say? He states that after he was pushed, there was more arguing. Then Carmelo reached around his bag, took the knife out, and stabbed Austin in the chest. Okay? Listen, these are only 2 statements so far, and we have over 30. Some witnessed the full event, some only half, some only the stabbing. What does this mean? It means that all of the witnesses thus far have painted Austin as the primary aggressor, okay? Let's look at the third witness, you guys. And the third witness is Hunter Metcalf himself. What did he say about the incident? Let's watch the video.
Damn. Shit was not worth it, man.
He's a good kid. We just got a little altercation, and that's really it. But he has a good heart. Everyone knows. Everyone around here knows he's a great kid. He just one mistake from that dude, and just took my brother. He didn't deserve it.
Now, listen. A lot of people don't want to hear this, but Hunter implicates himself in this altercation, you guys. What did he say? He said, we. He specifically said, we got into a little altercation. What does that mean, you guys? He then also tells his father all the intricate details of the event. What does that mean to me? As an officer, as an investigator, that means to me that you had a level of involvement. When you said we were involved in an altercation, my question now to you, Hunter, as an investigator, is what role did you play? What did you say? What did you do in that moment? Where were you when your brother stood up and he pushed?
They probably both like
tricky.
Is halfway decent kids, man. You never know, man. But like his brother know him in a different way than like a stranger would. To a stranger, he might not be shit because the stranger might not see him do anything that might not see his home life type shit. You know what I'm saying? He might be a good kid type shit. They probably is, man. But it's just like, yeah, one mistake can go a long way, man.
Why do I say that? Because what you don't understand about self-defense, it's not about what you think. It's about what the person who's using self-defense thinks. Their perception is their reality. And if you create a scenario that makes me believe that it's 2 against 1, you've changed the dynamics of this situation, you guys. That matters. What else matters when we talk about self-defense? Well, let's talk about it. Let's go into the topic of self-defense. As it relates to self-defense, it's very unique. Texas has unique laws, you guys. This isn't California. This isn't New York. In Texas, you have a right to stand your ground. What does that mean? It means that you're not obligated to retreat. You're not obligated if someone is trying to use a level of force on you. You are allowed to defend yourself. You're allowed to protect yourself, but it has to be reasonable. It has to be proportionate with the level of force that's presented. Listen, in no way ever of being pushed, like I said before, are you allowed to use deadly force on a person. It's unlawful. It's against the law. It's excessive. Many people want to compare the Kyle Rittenhouse or the Trayvon Martin. Listen, those are unique cases. You can't compare them. But let's talk about Trayvon Martin real quick. Let's talk about that.
I don't even want to think about this shit. Look at this bitch ass nigga, man.
Legally allowed to use force against George Zimmerman. Okay, George Zimmerman was what? The primary aggressor. Trayvon used a level of force against him, which he's legally allowed to do. But guess what? That force was excessive. Anytime you use excessive force, you guys, that is the deal breaker on self-defense. The force has to be justifiably reasonable. It has to be reasonable. George Zimmerman was put in a situation where he felt in that moment that his life was in danger. He was getting the snot beat out of him by a teenager. And in that moment of trying to preserve his life, you guys, he drew a weapon and he shot him. And that ultimately killed Trayvon Martin, and people had a problem with it. But the use of force and self-defense, it's a slippery slope if you don't understand the intricate details of it. In this case here,
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, bro? I never really looked into that Trayvon Martin case, bro, ever, because I was like, I was younger when that shit happened, so I'm just going off of social media for real. I ain't really know the dude Zimmerman got beat up. I never knew that.
excessive force against Austin. You can't stab a person in the chest, you guys, unless you are using a level or a weapon as a threat equalizer. What do I mean by that? Austin and his brother Hunter, there's a possibility that they were both involved. And if that's the case, you have two brothers who are 6'1", 225 pounds against KARMELO, who is 5'9",
about 30
and 30 pounds. If that's the case, and a weapon is introduced as a threat equalizer, the self-defense claim gets a little stronger. Okay, it gets a little stronger. Whether you like it or not, it gets a little stronger. Here's the thing, if Austin and Hunter together participated in the threats, in the aggression towards KARMELO, he has a strong argument for self-defense. He's not fighting one person. The fear of being assaulted by multiple people changes and raises the threat level and can very much well justify his self-defense. Now here's the problem. If the brother Hunter was not involved, he didn't participate in the verbal disputes, he didn't participate in any threats, he never assaulted, he never did anything or any provoking nature, he didn't provocate anything, guess what?
Do you really want to spend the rest of
Man,
your
it's a lot to know, man. It's crazy.
A Google Chrome extension, and it basically
The claims of self-defense greatly diminish for KARMELO. And what does that mean? Okay, you're not going to be able to justify using a knife against someone who pushed, punched, or assaulted you. There just is no justification for it. Okay, so that is the problem with this case. KARMELO used deadly force in a situation that on the surface looks like deadly force is not acceptable. But the problem is, and the key to this whole entire case, is what was said. This is equivalent to the situation that happened on the subway with Jordan Neely, with the whole idea that you can threaten someone and make threatening words and gestures, though you may never actually physically harm or touch anyone, is enough for someone to use deadly force against you. The idea that a person can make threats but never actually physically touch you, well, according to Texas law, here's what's interesting about self-defense. A person is justified in using force against another when, to the degree the actor reasonably believes the force is immediately necessary to protect the actor against others' use or attempted use of unlawful force. Why do I say that? Attempted use. So this is key, okay? Listen, in the cases of use of force and self-defense, I don't have to wait for you to use deadly force. If I have reason to believe that you're using a force on me, or you're going to use a level of force that's going to put me in great bodily harm or death, I can use lethal force against you. This is why I say this entire case hinges on the conversation and the verbal dispute that took place between KARMELO and Austin. What did they say that made KARMELO believe that he was in fear for his dispute that took place between KARMELO and Austin?
Go ahead and get my thumbnail, y'all. Oops.
What did they say that made KARMELO believe that he was in fear for his life? That's so important. And these are the things that get shelled out during trial. And people are like, oh wow, I didn't know he said that. Oh wow, I didn't know he did that. This is why we have to wait for the facts of the case to be revealed before we pass judgment. It's innocent until proven guilty. That's how it works. Okay, so let's be real about
But he already been charged though.
We don't know what was said. We don't know the words and what was threatened. But we know threats were made because KARMELO made a statement and said, do it and see what happens. And when we go back to the witness statement, the issue with the witness statement is the witness worked really hard of only mentioning the statements KARMELO made, but the witness didn't make the statements that Austin made. What were the threats that Austin made that made KARMELO believe that he was in fear for his safety? And guess what? If no threats were made, KARMELO doesn't have an argument. Okay, it goes both ways, you guys. Okay, so the idea is that we need to know what happened. We know that it was recorded because the police confiscated several cell phones. So we do know there's a video recording of the incident. What else do we know? We got to talk about the charges. KARMELO's being charged with first-degree murder, but I don't think they're going to get it, you guys. It's not a good charge. I don't think they would get second-degree murder. Why do I say that? Because you got to prove intent. But I understand the logic. The logic is KARMELO came with a knife. He was in possession of a knife. The knife is illegal. Yes, it is. All right, that's another charge that they didn't charge him with that they probably will charge. You cannot be in possession of a knife in Texas under the age of 18. KARMELO had a knife. It's against the law. He's on school property. It's against the law. 2 violations. Okay, that's another charge that they could charge him with. Okay, whether you believe it or like it or not. The track meet is an extension of the school. It's unlawful to bring a weapon there. He's in the wrong. That's a violation. But let's talk about the charge of murder. First degree, you got to prove intent. Second degree, you got to prove intent. So here we have the argument that's going to be made is that this was a premeditated situation. He came with a knife. That doesn't make it premeditated, okay? Did he plan to kill Austin? No, you got to prove that. Did he want to kill Austin? I don't know. You got to prove that. Why do I say that? The statements that he made when he was arrested was, is Austin okay? All right, is he okay? That's so important. That'll be used in trial to suggest that the client had remorse, that he had no intentions of harming him to that level or killing him to that level. He was remorseful. Guys, that shows that there was no intent in the action. Well, what's the more appropriate charge? Manslaughter. Okay, you don't have to prove intent. You just need to prove that this behavior of the suspect was reckless, which it was reckless. That is the charge that's more appropriate for this case, okay? The argument that they're gonna make is that in that moment, KARMELO had his hand inside the bag, holding on to the knife, while looking at Austin and telling him, touch me and see what happens. Do something and see what happens. People are saying that's provocation, that he's provoking Austin. You guys, that's false. That's not provocation. Provocation is when someone is approaching you, they're testing you, they're insulting you, they're disrespecting you, and they're asking you to do something, provoking you to actually have an emotional response. You guys, that's provocation. Okay, don't let these people tell you stuff that's not legit. But at the same time, there was a dispute, there was a verbal dispute. The provocation could have gone both ways. But the statement that's being used to suggest that KARMELO intentionally and planned this murder was that he held on to the knife, knowing in his mind that he was going to stab him, and he said, do something and see what happens. This is what they're leaning on for their first-degree murder, and I don't think it's strong enough, you guys. I don't think it's strong enough. Why do I say that? Because the primary aggressor, the initial aggressor, is Austin from the very beginning. So the self-defense comes from the person who didn't start the altercation, okay? But did he provoke? Well, we got to find out. And those facts are in the video. Those facts are in the statements that were shared between both parties. At any point in time, did KARMELO threaten Austin? Or was this position with his hand in the bag and him saying, touch me and see what happens, you guys, that could be argued as a defensive stance. That could be argued as someone giving a warning, not someone tempting you to do something. If you do X, Y, Z, then see what happens. I'm not moving from this area because I don't have to move. And if all the things that you threaten me with transpires, I have something that I'm going to retaliate with. This is the mindset of KARMELO. The question is it legal? You guys, attorneys are going to battle that out. And the argument is going to come down to wordplay. Was this a defensive posture or was this provocation? You guys, in my expert opinion, this is not provocation, it's a defensive posture. I am stating and giving you a warning that if you try to carry out the threat that you spoke about, then I have something to show you. This is not provoking, this is not enticing, this is a warning. Now, I would like to hear people's thoughts on that because it's debatable, right? And we won't know until we get the full words that were transpired between both parties. You're not going to sell first-degree, second-degree murder. It's going to be very difficult for the state to prove intent when KARMELO didn't start the altercation. What they can prove very easily is manslaughter. Why do I say that? We know
'Cause he killed him.
regardless of what transpired, it doesn't matter who the primary aggressor is in the altercation. If you recklessly use a level of force that's unreasonable, that's reckless, and it caused the death of another person, even though they started it, guess what? You're still wrong. You're still in violation, and you can be charged. And I believe manslaughter is the more appropriate charge for this case. That's what I would have charged him with, and I believe that's the actual charge that can get a conviction. Now, where does manslaughter charge break down if we're talking about from the state's perspective? What's the only thing that can actually challenge the manslaughter is self-defense. The only way for the self-defense to be valid, you guys, is if KARMELO can prove or he can show that there were multiple threats when he delivered that assault against Austin. You guys, that is his only defense. Because outside
take
that,
your ass to Mexico.
there's no justification for using a knife against a physical altercation where there was no level of force used against them that was high enough to justify him using a knife.
Everyone who's making serious money with print
Yeah,
on
man,
demand is probably using.
I'm hitting up Pablo Escobar, man. Like, I'm finna get about that jam.
This message is for everyone, and I want to be clear when I say this. When it comes to words, words have no power, you guys. The only power words have is a power that you give it over yourself. You have no power over anyone but yourself. You only have the power to control your actions. You cannot control the actions of others. Now hear me out when I say this. This is the same advice I give hundreds of youth when I speak to them about violence, about conflict resolution, because this is what this case is about. At the end of the day, the reality is you have one person who had an issue with someone else, and it doesn't matter what his skin color is. Austin could have simply just went and asked another authority, an adult, a coach, for assistance to remove or to address the problem with KARMELO. You guys, and honestly, KARMELO could have easily have just walked away, removed himself from that confrontation. It's just that simple, you guys. Two simple solutions that could have solved a bigger problem. This would have never been an issue if we had two individuals who understood how to resolve conflict. One person had
Conflict resolution, man.
The other person had no business doing the other. Regardless of where you land on it, that is the reality of the situation. You have no power over another person. You only have power over yourself. These egos have come together, and the person believes with all their self-righteous fortitude, think that you can tell another person what to do, and that person has to do it. That's not reality, and that's not how the world works, and that people here are so emotionally unstable. You don't know what you don't know. You have to be careful when you're engaging in society with people. You don't know where they are in that current space and time. I've seen people, and I've worked cases where people lost their life over a lot less. Whether it's road rage or someone stepping on their shoes, a life was taken behind that, okay? So this is the reality that we live in, and teaching children, teaching young adults how to resolve conflict respectfully, or how to remove yourself from conflict. That's okay, and just because you have the right to stand your ground doesn't mean you have to, doesn't mean you should, and just because you can use force or use deadly force doesn't mean you should have to. Okay, this is the reality of the world that we live in, that people would exercise a level of violence just to make a point. Whereas sometimes the best self-defense is walking away, okay? The only power you have is the power over yourself. You can't control anybody.
Yeah, man, this shit
can't control
did not have to happen, bro.
This is the sad reality of this entire case. Lives have been changed forever. This case has just exposed how much healing this country needs when it comes to race relations, and how we are not mature enough to even come to the table and have an honest conversation.
Well, look who the president, man. We got we got the top dog, the final boss of niggas who don't understand conflict resolution running the fucking country, man. This nigga just throwing motherfuckers out the country. He throwing out students. I know we ain't talking about Trump right now, but like, he talking about the state of the country, man. And it's like, bro, the leader of the country right now is got the same mentality this kid had, bro. Like, you could just tell somebody this, that, and the third, and they just supposed to do that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to that dude, man, because at the end of the day, bro, every life do matter, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's just unfortunate that this shit had to happen, bro, because it really didn't need to, bro. Simple communication, conflict resolution. You would have somebody still alive and somebody who ain't got to worry about, you know, spending a long time in jail, bro. And yeah, it's just crazy, bro, because yeah, man, the country, man, like, everybody gotta do better, bro. It start with you, though. It start with you. It start with the man in the mirror, bro. You gotta look at yourself and walk outside and be the change you want to see, man. And that's just how it is, bro. But I'm gonna be following this case, man. So y'all subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the content. If you want to see more, I do reactions to other shit too, but I'm definitely gonna follow up with this case because this one's kind of interesting. I ain't gonna lie, I want to see what happens. So yeah, man, fuck with me.